Hey, this is Seagrove, and I'm here with Jay Hornung for a TCG trainer profile. Jay is considered one of the best players of all time. He's an older player, so a lot of the newer players don't know who he is, so we're going to just talk about him. Jay, do you want to just introduce yourself, what you're doing now, etc.?
Yeah, my name is Jay Horning. I'm 28. I played super competitively from about 2004 to 2000, I would say 13. And then I just kind of got to that age where I had to, grow up and get a real job and kind of had to take a little bit of a break from the game. So I still always played, a couple tournaments a year, just here and there, but I never hardcore grinded for the invite after about 2013.
Okay, very cool. So, you said you started in 2004. Um,
I I came back in 2004. I played it. I played when it was really cool, when all the kids on the playground had their Pokemon cards, and then I quit. And my little brother got me back into it in about 2004. So,
okay, cool. Um, and then were you good immediately as soon as you came into the game, or um, did you grow into your skill?
um, I was very good in my area, like because I grew up in Iowa. Iowa was not super competitive. We were kind
Okay.
of the laughing stock for a while. But I had a lot of success in Iowa, and then I just slowly started becoming to be able to play. I started doing really well at larger events and other areas and stuff like that too. Um, I had the advantage of playing with a lot of the top players at the time, which kind of really helped me kind of catch back up really quickly.
Hmm. Were you on a team? Was that a team, or did teams exist back then?
Well, my little brother got me back into the game. I was about 6 years older than him, and we really didn't have a whole lot in common. So Pokemon was kind of like the one thing that we'd come together and we enjoyed doing together. Um, so we would build decks together, we test together, we practice together. Um, as far as beyond that, no, not really. We really wouldn't share information or anything with anybody else.
Okay.
There wasn't a whole lot of social networking back then.
Okay. Um, so people consider you, like I said, one of the better players ever to have played the game. What were some of your big accomplishments?
Um, I got a second at U.S. Nationals in 2007. I got a third place at U.S. Nationals in 2012.
Okay.
I've got a third place at Worlds in 2009 and another third place in 2012. I got a regional win. I'm not sure how many state wins, quite a few state
Okay.
wins, and then just a lot below that level too.
Right.
So,
Okay. Wow. And um, what were some of your points of strong points, and then after that, we'll ask what about some of your weaknesses compared to other
um,
good players.
I did really well at choosing decks
Okay.
for big events. Like I think part of it was skill, and I think being honest, probably caught some blind luck here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really good, I think, at choosing decks for big events. I had really good instincts about the games. Like I could just sit there and I could just make those calls really easily that players would struggle with.
Okay.
Um, I would say those are probably my two biggest things. Deck building. I was really good at deck building, really good at tweaking decks, really good to finding that little bit of edge to put me over the competition. Um, those three things I think are probably my three strongest points and three strong points of most of the good players of any time.
Okay. Very cool. Did you have anyone in any of that time period who was considered like a rival to you, or was that a thing in Pokemon in the same way that it is in other esports or competitive arenas?
Um, yes and no. I would say, my little brother and I always had a little bit of a rivalry. You always do
Sure.
with brothers. There's definitely some, when when I was playing and I was going to worlds and nationals and stuff like that. I would say there's definitely some pressure to perform kind of locally too. I don't think I really had a whole bunch of rivals at a local level or anything, but it was definitely something I wanted to do well at. And then, especially my first couple years playing, I really, I really looked up to players like Jason and Kyle, and I wasn't at their level. I wasn't even close to their level my first couple years of playing. I mean, I was doing well. I was getting Worlds invites. I was winning tournaments.
Right.
But, back in the day, Jason and Kyle were just so far above everybody. I certainly wouldn't call them rivals, but they were definitely players that, I was a lot of pressure when those games came on. So
Sure. And then where do you? Well, actually, before I ask that, let me ask you about your brother. You've mentioned him a couple times. Was he? Did he ever get close to your level, or where was his skill level?
my brother was, I mean, being honest, my brother was probably better than me for a lot of it. He just played really, 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 really well. He had a lot of accomplishments too. He just was always a little bit shy at that nationals and worlds level.
Hmm.
He had a nationals top 8, a nationals top 16, worlds top 16, one or two worlds top 32s. But they were just a little bit shy of kind of in that top 4 range or top
Right.
8 range that really get noticed. And he played in juniors, which was a little bit below what they got noticed too. But in testing, we were always really close and everything else. I considered him just as good as I was.
Okay. Cool. Um, so where do you rank yourself? People are saying, most people agree that you're in the top 10. A lot say you're top 5 even. Where would you rank yourself in terms of great players of all time? I know it's a tough question, but
Well, it's kind of a little bit of a loaded question.
right.
One because, well, first because I mean it's hard to be objective with this. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
either players, it's because you don't want to sound cocky, but you want to be fair at the same time and stuff too.
Hmm.
The other problem with that question is it's really hard because you're trying to judge a whole span of 15 years,
Absolutely.
of play here, and I, without trying to sound cocky, I think when I quit in 2012 or 2013, I felt pretty confident that I was, probably top 5. There wasn't anybody that had those big world accomplishments, those big national accomplishments, as that had 3 or 4 or 5 of those.
Hmm.
But as more time goes on with the game, you've got a lot of players that really are adding more to their accomplishments.
Right.
Ross is a great example. Like, I had some big nationals finishes. Ross had some stronger world finishes. But in the 3 or 4 years that Ross kept playing, he's added 3 or 4 more worlds invites, another 3rd place at worlds. So that's kind of makes it difficult. And then you got players like Igor that have just been on an absolute tear that are it's kind of hard to judge
Right.
some of that stuff. So I don't know. I guess that's not really a definite answer, but I felt when I left the game, I felt like I was towards the top. Nowadays, there's just so many good players, and then it's kind of divided almost into eras.
Yeah.
Which
Absolutely.
player was top. It's a lot harder to answer that question. I guess I just generally say Jason was the best of all time, and beyond that, you can get into a lot of discussion.
Okay. All right. Last question. I've heard different reasons for this. Why? Well, not two-part question, but the last one. Why did you end up quitting the game, or essentially quitting?
It was just I needed. When I played all through high school. I played all through college. All through college, I was working a part-time job. I was working 20 hours a week, making some cool Pokemon money on the side.
Right.
It was great. It was honestly great. I was traveling all across the United States. I was having a great time. I was loving college. Working a little bit. But afterwards, I graduated in 2012. And it kind of came to that point where it's like, okay, Pokemon's awesome, and but I really don't want to spend my entire life, working 20 hours a week.
Right.
You know what I mean? Part-time at an entry-level job. So a friend of mine worked for a pretty large company up in this area. He said he put in a good word for me. I got a job like a week later.
Mm-hmm.
So mainly it was just, to start kind of getting out on my own and working professionally and stuff like that. Your first year with a new company is always tough. You don't have any vacation time.
Absolutely.
You can't really dictate your schedule at all. And I hit up a tournament here, tournament there, but I try to make a good impression. If they're like, "Hey, can you come in and work this weekend?" Yeah, I'd come in and work, and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Nowadays, I'm a little bit freer. I've got pretty good vacation time. I'm kind of like in a leadership position. I've got a little bit more freedom with my schedule to kind of get specific weekends off, stuff like that. So it's a little bit easier for me to play now.
Okay. And that was the second part of the question. Are you considering coming back at all? And to what extent?
It's, I think me at 22 and me at 28 have some different goals.
Right.
And I think you're going to find that with about anybody. 22, you're just out, you're enjoying life, you want to hang out with your friends, you want to have a good time. At 28, you're thinking more about, buying a house, getting married, are you saving enough for retirement, all that boring stuff you never thought of when you were younger. So, yeah, I definitely want to play some, but at the same time too, I don't think I'll be able to, grind 8 or 9 regionals a year and go to, 20 league cups. But for sure though, I'd love to hit up a few regionals, a few league cups, get to nationals, worlds if that's in the cards. But, I think it's a little presumptuous to even start thinking about anything like that. So.
Yeah, I understand that. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Do you have any shout outs or anything like a Twitter handle you want people to check out?
No, I should get a Twitter. That is on my to-do list. But no, seriously, just my brother. My brother was the number one reason I was able to play well, and it was so cool that we both had our successes in the game, and that we were able to kind of do a lot of really cool things and have a lot of really cool experiences because of this game. And playing together really kind of allowed us to get to some of those levels. So definitely my younger brother, Tim.
Okay, very cool. Thank you.